The S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100, that's what we're discussing here on the day. Now, first, what I'm going to do before going into any of the day trading ideas, stocks, equities, anything like that, look, we need to jump right into what's happening here with futures. Now, if you look at something like the 4 hour, you can see we've been trading in this range of basically 15.85 into highs of like 16.1 on Nasdaq, right? And if you want to know the importance of the Nasdaq, it's basically carried us for the, this whole year so far. And now we've kind of seen it kind of shift. We've seen a little bit of a rotation into Dow, some ES names, right? And this is really interesting what we're seeing. So we see again this morning, initial downside, immediately bought back up. And it's just like kind of like an ongoing. Monday, bought up. Tuesday, bought up, and finishing even stronger than we did yesterday. So these are things that you have to be paying attention to. You go to Dow, basically just flagging here at highs. ES, basically just sitting in the same. I mean, ES really had some downside, but 30 points of downside, not too much in comparison, right? Still making higher highs and higher lows. Very bullish there as well. Nasdaq is what you have to be watching, right? Because if you're going to get the continuation, the breakout to the upside, get more buyers stepping in and hopefully pushing into all-time highs, whatever it may be, Nasdaq is going to be one that's going to lead us there. It's not going to be ES, it's not going to be Dow. It's going to be heavy tech names, right? And I think there's some indicators that are still popping off and continue to signal why I believe the buy side continues to remain like the most likely outcome. Okay, so before we go into that, I ask you to do two things. Consider liking and subscribing. I appreciate all of the support. Today's video is going to be pretty short, sweet, to the point, right? There's no Discord memberships available, so I'm sorry. Some will most likely be opening around the first, second of the year. So if you are interested, be looking forward to that. Also, too, you can see our indicators are coming in here, as you can see here and here. You can also see our volume indicator, the custom script down here as well from Chart Prime, right? It's giving you a better indication of what's happening with the day, when to get in, when to get out, what buying and selling volume is actually true. All that's there as well. That link is down below with the Chart Prime link. So make sure you check them out. Now, so the first thing we're gonna do is talk quickly about this. So Nasdaq, again, pushing back up, decent, not terrible, right? Definitely something you need to be paying attention to. Going to tomorrow, the next day, I am carefully looking at this little bit of a downtrend that we have established and you're trying to break out of as we speak. Number one. Now, across the board, I don't think we were that bad. Again, we look at the 30-year yield, you continue to track down lower, right? This is the 2022 high. You broke back below, rejected, pushed back down, right? 10-year as well. If there's been a bullish sign in the market over the past few weeks, it's been when yields continue to go down. This is bullish for the entire market, not just a specific area or specific equity. This will help interest rates across the board go down as well. These are all things we need to be considering and looking at, okay? That's number one. Number two, oil continues to get destroyed. Lower lows, lower highs. The end. Only thing that's a little bit concerning is DXY pushing up the way that it is. Okay, that's the only thing, if anything. But the fact that DXY is pushing up like this and the downside is not showing continuation, okay? Also, too, DXY is pushing up like this. Meanwhile, you have gold at these highs as well. I mean, a little bit of downside, but in comparison to DXY's upside, I think it's minimal. Also going into Bitcoin, continuing, pushing up to 44K, right? Major breakout. This was all on Twitter. So again, if you're not like following on Twitter, I don't know what to tell you. A lot of charts are posted there. There's a lot of free stuff as well. So make sure you understand all that is there, okay? So that's everything that's pretty much there right now. So the biggest bullish signs across the board. Bitcoin, or it's a risk on indicator for me, is when Bitcoin's going up, it's, that's a riskier asset, number one. Yields going down, risk on as well. Dollar going up is a somewhat risk off. But when we look at the IWM pressing to the upside, we see all the breakouts across the board. These are all just risk on indicators, okay? Those are things you got to be looking forward to. Now, next week is going to be the FOMC meeting, so that will be kind of the tipping point, in my opinion, to get some more continuation to the upside. But overall, you've got nice consolidation to the sideways action. Sellers continue to just get bought right back up. Pretty much piss poor effort across the board from sellers, in my opinion. There's no easier way to say that, okay? So you're trying to break back up. That's what you're looking for, but really need to get a hold above 16.1. Okay. Now, again, today's video is pretty quick, short, sweet, to the point. Now, what I do want to talk about, again, I mentioned this yesterday. These daily candles are very important, right? When you're getting downs like this, I think you have to take a step back from 5-minute, 15-minute, 2-hour, 1 hour, go to the daily. Look at what's really happening throughout the day. So on Microsoft, for instance, you kind of gap down at the open, push on to 366, and you bounce back. So that's why I said yesterday when you're looking at these candles, this is very bullish. That Microsoft candle, very strong. Q candle, very strong. Q candle today, even stronger. Tesla, not the greatest candle, for instance, right? So we got to understand what's happening here across the board. And the biggest names that I'm watching in this market are going to be ones that have carried us to the upside. Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, the list can go on, right? But these are the ones that have carried us and continue to move, right? We look at other sectors that have been relatively strong. Cloud names, CrowdStrike, new 52-week highs here at the end of the day. You closed at 52-week highs, right? Pushing, very strong. 242 most likely coming here, right? Amazon, off open today. Look at the 5-minute candle here to start the day. Absolutely absurd, right? So you're seeing buyers step in almost immediately. Amazon, 143 back to 148 in an instant, right? So understand what's taking place here. So again, it's not to say that we can't go down, but again, if you're looking at the downside here today, it was very simple what we were looking for, right? We even kind of mentioned it in yesterday's video, right? So really quick, giving you a visual. Let me turn this off really quick to just make it a little bit cleaner for you, right? So you had this area down here, which was your previous kind of demand, right? You had this little demand that was previously like right here, okay? Ultimately, what you wanted, like simply put, is you wanted to see a break below, retest, and push back down. That would have been perfect. Like you break 15.8, come back into 15.8, reject, and push down to 15.6. That was your downside opportunity. But again, you get these false breakdowns and then immediate buying action back to the upside. So those are things that you have to be watching for. And again, when you're looking at that, that's telling you the story of what's taking place at this range and who's really in control at this range as well, right? I don't want to jump to any speculation or anything like that, but when we look at this action, I think it points to the action that we've seen over the past, month and a half. Continuous upside, stair stepping, sellers not having that momentum to keep you on the downside. So those are things that I'm looking for. But I do want to see DXY get back below 200 and get some downside moving back in there as well. So stocks I'm looking at, stocks I'm watching. Number one, Apple. You make new local highs here. You're trying to push back into all-time highs as well. Great name. I mentioned this on Twitter as well. This was all there. Apple, December 2nd, down here at the level, basically 189, 190. Boom, you bounced up. You shot up like $3. Okay. So again, that's what we're looking for. Number one there. You want to see that continuation of the upside. Nvidia buying off of lows. Basically, Nvidia had news yesterday about downside coming off what they're doing with the getting around the chip bans, right? And how it's frowned upon what they were doing. Today came out, just countering that news. So especially when you're looking at stuff like Nvidia, Microsoft, it seems like all the bad news gets countered almost immediately, right? So again, the biggest thing I can say here, right, is stop trying to jump to a conclusion on the market. Stop trying to jump to the side of, okay, well, I got to catch this move. I got to catch the top. I got to catch the bottom, right? It's not how you have to view this. I think you have to take a step back, especially when we're chopping the way that we are, and come in with the viewpoint of how can I have the least amount of risk on the table, right? How can I protect the capital so when we get the breakout of the 16.1 level or the 15.6 level to the downside to capitalize off that and make the most money? That's what I'm looking at every single day here. So these are things you should be and need to be watching for. But when we look at some of the biggest names in the market, again, the biggest ones that have carried us are Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia. Those are what I would say the top dogs right now. Okay, Microsoft, very strong day. Amazon, very strong day. Nvidia, very strong. I would say those are my top three names on the over the course of the year so far. Okay, and they're just continuing to do the same thing over and over and over, right? Okay, they're just all doing. Apple, strong day, right? I think I said Amazon, but yeah. So you're getting that great action, and again, I think it's going to continue. Okay, so again, what I would be doing here is when you get these downside opportunities, watch what's happening with that volume to take advantage of it, okay? Don't go super short dated because you're going to get stopped out of your positions. Have time on those contracts, be able to protect yourself, right? Again, today's video is very short, sweet to the point. That's what I'm looking at. That's how I'm viewing this. There's no really big update that I can give you. I think the market's doing its thing. It's consolidating here, but ultimately buyers continue to show dominance and control across the board.